Welcome to the Rimworld mod rundown. We'll be taking a quick look at what you can expect to see from Vanilla Weapons Expanded. For starters, you'll need the additional workshop content, Vanilla Expanded Framework, and Harmony. Weapons Expanded. This isn't going to be a mind-blowing rundown, so I'll do my best to throw in some additional details about combat when covering this series of mods. As you'd expect, the core modification of Weapons Expanded is expanding upon weapons. You'll get some new melee, some new ranged, a new unique weapon or two, and the odd new type of damage interaction. Now, breaking down every new weapon included in this mod is redundant. You'll likely know how numbers work if you've managed to navigate this video, so me reeling off exact damage values for every single addition is meaningless. Comparing side by side, the pros and cons, that's going to be more of the vibe here. Your new melee options include some new blunt choices, with a baton, a hammer, and a shovel. While obviously close to the mace in roll, they all offer something a little different. The baton hits faster, meaning whilst it may have lower overall DPS, it's more likely to put a fleeing prisoner down with only bruises, rather than crippling or outright killing them. The hammer and shovel offer some cool bonuses to work stats, meaning you can equip pawns with something beneficial even if you have no intention of using them in combat. The combat knife is a straight upgrade to your starting knife, and whilst not likely to be something you craft and use personally, it ensures some variety of equipment on raiders, as will many of the weapons mentioned going forwards. The other basic sharp melee weapon is the hatchet, which, like the other, more tool-like weapons, provides a bonus to work rather than a boost to damage. To compete with your choices for long blades, you now have battle axes and halberds. Battle axes turn melee into a slot machine, hitting with either the massively damaging bladed head, or doing practically nothing if you hit with the hilt. Whereas halberds take everything great about the spear and turn it up to 11, a high damage cut, stab, and a weedy little hilt poke, but with a far greater chance to roll one of the strong attacks when fighting compared to the axe. Now you've got something a little odd, a whip.
What'd you say?
A very short range to its damage, and it deals basically as much in melee as punching someone. It's mainly used for animal gathering bonuses and allowing me to say whip in this video.
You're saying it weird. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H?
Let's look at one of the most stupid weapons included, as it also gives me a chance to discuss some Rimworld logic that I said I'd do my best to include in this series. We've got the ranged offensive chuckable killstones, or rocks for short. So, rocks are a rarity in that they're a ranged weapon that deals blunt damage. This allows rocks to do something practically useless, but worthwhile to know about. They can bypass shield belts. Shields are specifically looking to block sharp, ranged damage, high velocity rounds that shatter upon impact of the field. Certain weapons included in mods occasionally do the magical combo of ranged, blunt damage, which means, in my mind anyway, they travel slowly enough not to trigger the shield's protective measures and hit the target without any obstruction. Now, are you ever going to have enough people throwing rocks for this to matter? Hell no. Will it help explain why your pawn in top tier armor with a masterwork belt was somehow downed by 12 tribals chucking rocks at them? Maybe. Anyway, actual ranged weapons. We'll work our way up the tech tree. Firstly, you're given an alternative path as tribals rather than stacking great bows on everyone. You have the longbow, which eventually leads into the crossbow and the compound bow. Personally, I'm a big fan of the longbow. It states in the description that the arrows fly overhead from this weapon and are not stopped by obstacles. While I definitely have seen arrows hit obstacles, it seems to be at a far lesser frequency than with other ranged weapons. The crossbow is what you'd expect, a long reload with slightly better armor penetration. Just bear in mind that you can loose 3 arrows from a longbow for every 2 bolts fired from a crossbow. The last option is the compound bow, which is made for big game hunting, giving massive bonuses to hunting stealth, making it far more likely you can hit aggressive targets like Mega Sloth multiple times before they snap and try to attack you. You're given a new tier of ranged weapons with flintlocks and muskets. Whilst it's unlikely you'll ever invest much time or energy into using them with your colony, they are cool to see raiders use every now and again. A potential big punch from tribals that have managed to get their hands on a few of these and are now going on a warpath in your general direction. The flamethrower is a pretty unique weapon, with a few different mods offering some alternative versions. This one doesn't consume fuel or damage itself after every shot, it simply vomits 20 tiles of fire in a rough direction that you select. Fantastic for superheating bug lairs very quickly before blocking them back in their hive to burn to death. You get a few new grenade options. Smoke, which is just like a smoke launcher with less range, or a smoke pop pack with more range, depending on how you want to look at it, and flashbangs, which are a bit of a game changer for certain kill boxes. A reliable, long duration stun on demand allows smaller colonies to overcome insane odds with just a couple of pawns staggering their use of these grenades and keeping enemies in a choke point. Is it cheesy? Oh, absolutely. Is it effective? Very much so. You'll get a variety of side grades to your normal ranged weapons. Bolt action rifles sit alongside lever action and semi-automatics, with the OG providing range and power, whilst the other two slide more towards overwhelming volume of bullets in the air. Your standard revolver could instead be a hand cannon, pumping up the range and hammering through more armour with every shot, whilst being heavier and unwieldy to use. You can choose between the explosive damage potential of a sawn-off shotgun or the reliable stopping power of your pump shotgun. One is made to turn targets into confetti, the other is designed to stagger them and stop all movement. This is the great thing about Weapons Expanded. Whilst you might have a definite best in every category, this forces you to mix up your approach to certain raiders, change how you fight in the first year of your colony based on the weapons you've managed to trade, scavenge, or make. What you've got here is just a little bit of spice, something to mix up every encounter and keep things interesting for a while longer. To accompany the heavy SMG, you now have the light and standard SMG, which gives you options to absolutely drown targets in bullets without, hopefully, ever doing too much damage to break something important on them. And now we get into the real splits. You have your standard assault rifle, then the battle rifle, the carbine, and the service rifle. If we consider the assault rifle the base, you can now go in a few different directions. The battle rifle gives you increased range and higher damage, at the cost of losing one shot. The service rifle has worse accuracy and damage with an extra shot. The carbine sacrifices range, but has a much faster aiming time and less of a cooldown. This is the definition of good balance in mod design. Nothing can be classed here as better for this tier because there is always a downside at play. It allows you to refine your colony, to really nail down what you're aiming for and what theme you want to play with. Alongside the assault rifles, you also get a similar split with your sniper variants, with a marksman rifle which fires rapidly over less range, and an anti-material rifle that absolutely annihilates whatever it hits, before taking over 8 seconds to cycle another shot. Whilst massive damage numbers are awesome, you'd be surprised just how much distance enemies can cover in 4.6 seconds of aiming time. The last major bits to talk about are the expanded library of pulse-charged weapons, taking you from the choice between lance or rifle to including an LMG, minigun, pistol, shotgun, SMG and sniper rifle. This gives you a full suite of range and engagement choices with the final tier of vanilla weaponry. Just be aware that once you start rocking and rolling with these guns, you tend not to have that many prisoner choices after raids. And those who do manage to fall down have usually done so because one or more of their limbs is turned into a fine red mist. And that is the core of Vanilla Weapons Expanded. There are some smaller mods around this which I'll be covering over the next few weeks. Expanded, if you will. This was also another one of those videos I've made where I leant back at some point and went, wait, this weapon is modded? They all just fit in so seamlessly. If you're going to start playing with more races, and especially if you're going to add in any more factions, give them all a bit of diversity. Throw this mod on too. Thanks for watching, folks. If you have any mods you'd like to see a full breakdown for, or suggestions of mods you'd like to see covered, feel free to leave them in the comments. I might get around to them. I'll be back again soon with another Rimworld mod rundown. Wherever you are in the world, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Take care.